Good day, good people. For those that don't know me, my name is Tobishinobi, and let me do this again. Good day, good people. For those that don't know me, I'm Tobishinobi, and I'm back with another video. So without any further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so today's video is really going to focus on something I don't tend to use that much, but it's interesting nonetheless, and I think you might get some use from it. I think there are some very interesting scenarios where you might find this saves you in a pinch. And yeah, it's Photoshop, and yes, it's part of their new updates, and it's called the neural filters. So let's play around with it, let's see what we can make with it, and let's have some fun. So we're going to start off with a couple of images and take them from Lightroom into Photoshop and see what we can make of that. I want to take this image here, maybe this image. Might be a long video, but we'll see. Right click, and then go edit in Adobe Photoshop. Edit a copy with Lightroom adjustments, edit. So this image is of a friend of mine, Jada. It was actually shot on a Samsung Galaxy S10. And the fact that it was shot on a smartphone actually might be a good way just to highlight just how powerful these new updates in Photoshop actually are. So let's have a look and see what we can do with this. First, we are going to go up to filter, and then we're going to click on neural filters, and you get this box right in the middle which tells you exactly what's going to be affected by that. So straight off the bat, you already know that everything within here is what's going to be affected, and I know for a fact that everything outside, just having used it a couple of times now, is not going to be affected. So just managing your expectations. If you do anything, just know that anything outside here is not going to be affected, and that's something to take into account when using any new tool, what the limitations and scope of it is. The other thing to bear in mind is a lot of these items are still in beta, so they're still learning. But one thing I do like about Adobe is that they take time to kind of really hone things, and they're always developing with machine learning as well. These tools are going to get better over time, so it's really good how far they've come, but just bear in mind they're still somewhat in beta. Let's have a look at this. So let's go skin smoothing, and just in the corner there, I don't know if you quickly saw, there was like a blue circle just letting you know that it's working. And we'll turn this off and on and off and on. And with it on, I think if you hadn't seen that, if I command minus out, if you hadn't seen it, I don't think you'd necessarily have known unless someone pointed out to you that it's smooth. I would possibly take this down to maybe a 35. I really don't like images which are over smoothed. I think it takes away from realism, and I think there's a beauty to the texture of skin. But you know, everyone has their own taste. I might even take that down a bit further to 25, so it might be a little bit harder to see, but I'm gonna zoom in and then off, on, off, on. Again, remember, this is a smartphone image, so for social, on a phone screen, yeah, that's pretty damn good. You know, quick couple of clicks, and you know, you've got a finished image here that's looking really good. But then that's skin smoothing. One of the other things I'd like to use here is under the beta filters, and just quickly pointing out, anything you click here, you notice this is a blue kind of toggle tool. When you click on this blue circle here, it shows you applied filters. So I haven't done anything else here, so you're not going to see anything here just yet. But after I do some stuff in the beta filters, they would all appear here as well. Let's look at these now. So we have the skin smoothing already in effect, but let's look at Smart Portrait, because this is where a lot of the power of the new neural filters powered by Adobe Sensei really come into play. So let's hit Smart Portrait, turn that on, and you get a range of different tools under this which you can use. So just by clicking the slider left or right, it already toggles it on. And let's do increase of 20% happiness, because I think in 2020 you could all do with 20% more happiness. I mean, damn. 2019. Anyway, 20% happiness. And you can see here, let's zoom in, Command plus, Command plus. You can see there's some artifacting here, but bear in mind, this image isn't the typical image that this is probably designed to use. You probably have a straight-on portrait, and you probably have not a red sleeve and a hand attached to the face. So it's doing fairly well given that. And for optimal results, you probably want a more traditional portrait to work with. But just look at what it's doing to the face here. A little bit creepy, perhaps, but again, let's maybe cut the program some slack in that this isn't an ideal portrait to use. I'm just really showing you this because I like the portrait, and yeah, why not? Let's turn this off and on and off and on. Let's take it down to 0. And there's a range of different things we can use. We can use surprise, and you'll see in the top right hand corner again, this is working. Sometimes it takes a little while to kind of work. Just looking a little bit more surprised. Off, on, off, on. Again, this could be a good starting point for the more professional photographers in the room. This might just be a starting point. It might save you in a pinch. You might have something where you just need someone to kind of have a slightly different look for whatever reason, and this might save you. Again, you want to be using more ideal portraits than the one I'm using here. We'll turn off surprise. We'll zero that back to its starting point. I think the one which is most impressive to me is gaze. So taking gaze all the way to the left, you'll move the eyes to the left. Taking gaze to the right, you move the eyes to the right. Kind of like the Scooby-Doo pictures where the eyes kept on following you. But let's take this to the left, not too much. Let's go 25 and see what that does. So you can see the reflection in the eyes. It's really cool. Turn that off, turn that on, turn that off, turn that on. Again, it's not perfect, but it's a good starting point. A little touch up and you are in a really good spot. So I think given that you can change the direction someone's looking, this could really, really save you in a pinch. I can imagine maybe the application when shooting kids, if you have them looking in different directions, this might really save you. So let's go to the right, to about 25. See how this looks. Again, good. This is a really good starting point. I can imagine some people might say it looks a little bit creepy, but just think about the computational calculations that are going on to produce this and adjust the eyes and the eyelashes to make this a viable picture. I'm sure there's some people that if this was zoomed out, command minus minus, they might not notice that this has even been changed. Off, on, off, on. That's an amazing achievement in my opinion. So let's zoom back in again. And there's one thing I want you to quickly notice. Maybe you've seen it already, maybe you noticed this. Notice how on this side of the image to the left, this is the light source, and notice how this is where the darkness is. When I take the gaze and move it over to the far left, look at the reflection in the eyes. Look how much more reflection there is in the eyes there. And when I take it over to the right, to the farthest part of the right, look. So Adobe Sensei seems to be noticing that there's more light on this side of the image and making sure that the reflection is reflective of that. That's a game changer as far as I'm concerned. But in terms of just wrapping this part of this up, you have a fair amount of images, and again, because a lot of this stuff is in beta, you have the chance to give feedback. Are you satisfied with the results? Yes or no? And yeah, you can output this to a new layer or duplicate layer, a range of different options here. I'm just going to stick with new layer for the purposes of this demonstration. I don't need anything else right now. I'll hit OK, and then you'll see the area that was inside the blue box is now here in a layer. Turn that off, turn that on, turn that off, turn that on, and you've got a really good start with an image. So that's the neural filters on that part. Let's look at something you can do with an image more typical of what you know me for. So here you have image of Shoreditch. where I'm currently staying with Vonda right now. And it looks cool. It was part of a time-lapse effort. But I woke up for sunrise, but didn't quite make it in time, and it's not really doing what I needed to do. One of the cool things that Adobe now allows you to do is a sky replacement. Now, I know, I get it. Some people will see sky replacement as cheating. I understand. But you do have the option with the sky replacement to put your own skies in. So you could shoot your own sky and shoot your own foreground and then match the two, and then it's all your work, and then you're editing it. So, it's a completely unique creation to you. So that's something to bear in mind. But if you're just starting with composite photography, this is a good way to get started. And Photoshop really helps you with this. So let's take a look at that now. So first you're going to go up to Edit. You're going to come down, you're going to see Sky Replacement. And then you have a range of options straight off the bat. And we can look at these in the various folders. So blue skies, let's open up the blue skies folder. And let's pick something which is indicative of London. Let's see what we can find. I think I like this one. That seems about right for London. All right, cool. Now, like with any tool, you need to work out when to use it, right? You're not going to use this in every single scenario, but there are going to be certain times where, again, this may save you. Again, just remember the way in which you use the tools is going to be like key in getting good content or, a good final product. One person could take a hammer and build something, another person could take a hammer and destroy something. So let's try and make sure that we're using this tool to its best of its ability and make sure that sky replacement is an accurate representation of what would be the case. So looking at this here, you can see on this part of the gherkin, let's zoom in a little bit, you can see the light is on this side of the building, and on this side it's darker. Here again, light, dark on this side. But if we look at the clouds, see these sides are light, these sides are dark. And I know just from shooting that the sun was coming from this direction. So what can we do about that? Let's flip the sky. That makes it a bit more realistic. And then I think, just for my taste, I'm gonna bring this up to about 125. And then I am going to, let's just adjust that. I'm gonna move the sky. You didn't know how to pause like that, did you? Move the sky to where it feels good. I like that kind of crest around the building, just moving it to where it feels good for me. And then you can change the temperature of this. So if I turn off preview, let's look at what the sky was like before so we can match it up perfectly. Well, as perfectly as we would like. So bluey pink. This is a bit more blue. So let's warm this up a tiny bit. I think that's in matching with this. Now, one of the cool things about the sky replacement is that it actually does affect this area here, the foreground. The sky replacement tool kind of blends some of the background so that the coloring is right, and it also blends it so that the atmosphere feels right. So you can see how the background is somewhat fading into the cloud and so on and so forth, just to make it blend more seamlessly. So again, we have the option to output this to either a duplicate layer or new layers. For the purposes of this demonstration, new layers is fine. So I'm going to hit OK. And then we have a range of different tools just in case we're not happy with how that works. So not happy with the sky, turn that off, turn it back on. Not happy with the temperature, we can adjust that separately. You can see that there, and you can see how it's clipped to that. I just want to show you how the foreground color, this area here, is affected by the sky replacement as well. So it's kind of subtle. That's off, slightly brighter. That's on, slightly darker. So we have all of that there in the sky replacement group. And what I can do now that I'm happy with that, so let's just do 0 to fit it. We can go and add something else. So let's go to filter and let's go to neural filters. And I am going to go to the beta filters and I'm going to do depth aware haze. So you see it's working here. Make that slightly smaller so we can see it. So it's added a little bit of haze here. So in case it's hard to see, that's off, that's on, that's off, that's on. Now I don't want the effect to be that strong, so I'm going to take it down to about 30, and I think I'll make it slightly cooler, ever so slightly cooler. Still working. Off, on, off, on. Perfect. I was happy with that. It was neutral. So off, on. So we'll hit OK. And then we have the depth haze filter, and you can see in this area here, it's not affected by the haze, but the further we get away, we find that the haze is more effective, and it kind of helps to blend the sky. This would potentially have kind of a haze around it, you know, inclement weather, you know how it could be. And yeah, it just makes for a more authentic image. So let's look at that. So sky replacement completely off, turn off the haze, original, turn it back on the haze, turn sky replacement back on, and there you have an image which is good to post. That's all we have time for right now. I don't want to make this video too long, but if you have any questions, please jump in the DMs. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you share, send the video to your mum, tell her I said hey, and yeah, until next time, you've just learned how to replace the sky, you just learned how to make someone happier, add 20% happiness to someone's life, go out and make someone's life 20% happier. But until next time, wear a mask, and I'll see you. I should bring out my own range of masks. I'm sure if people made them look cool, people will start wearing them more. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make my own range of masks. You're gonna see it. You heard it here first. Whether the weather is cold or whether the weather is hot, we'll be together whatever the weather, whether you like it or not. Whether the weather is cold, whether the weather is hot, red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, no. Okay, cool. All right, we're good.